So in one sense, you could say there's a good guys and the bad guys. But when Narada looks at at the demons and the devas, he doesn't see good and bad.
Mm.
He may on the external level understand, okay, half of these guys are acting in a way that's helpful for themselves and others, and half of
Mm-hmm.
them aren't. But he doesn't, there's no hatred for the demons.
Mm.
It's almost like a parent may have a child or have several children, and some of them are well behaved and some of them not. Some of them may be like really upstanding citizens, and others may be like even criminals. But the parents love all the
Love them
children.
all.
Yeah. And even to the devas, they may even be like, why are you why are you being so friendly with the demons? But to Narada, he doesn't see, oh, you're demons and you're not demons. He sees everyone connected to Lord Vishnu, and he sees them
He
all as
actually
love.
sees through divine eyes, like divine, like
Yeah,
spiritual vision, and then
yeah.
compassion.
Which exactly, which is the vision of Vishnu himself, right?
Mhm.
He loves everyone's connected to him. He's in the heart of every living being. He's waiting for every living being to turn back to him. And there's no resentment, there's no anger, there's no what to speak of hatred.
Mhm.
He's so even though Indra, he's fighting intensely and he's doing the best that he can, but he's got a heart that's going to be full of anger, towards the demons. Narada's never like that.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Sridham Mayapur in West Bengal, India. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast. I'm your host today, Kaustubha Das. My co-hosts, Raghu, along with Mara, are probably like approaching the Delhi airport now or something like that. They're on their way
Flying
to.
high.
They're about to head back late this evening in India, or maybe it's actually very early tomorrow morning in India, flying back to New York. But I'm here with special guest co-host Kishori Gopi, who's quickly becoming a favorite.
I don't know about that. I'm
Oh,
very,
no, no.
very, very grateful for the service
Yeah,
and
we're
happy to be
grateful
here
for
with
you.
you again, Kaustubha.
Thank you. And we have Linda. Linda spinning the dials in the background. Welcome, Linda.
Thanks very much. Always good to be here. Thank you.
Linda's got a new microphone. She sounded really good.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just start right off the bat with Linda, checking in with you and seeing if you have any announcements for us today?
Yep, absolutely. It's Wear Your Merch Monday.
Oh, that's
Show your
right.
support for the show. Please help us by promoting the show. When you wear your Wisdom of the Sages merch, take a pic, share on social media, tag us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll share your post as well.
Okay. Anything else to say? Any
That's it
other?
today.
Okay, it's just the Wear Your Merch Monday. We love to see that. It means a lot to us. Touches us. It touches us right to the very heart when we see someone do that. So
A lot of people have come to the show through people wearing their merch and people asking about it.
it's true.
So, you know.
It's true. It's not just like it actually really works.
It really does.
It really
Okay.
works. There's actually an algorithm to that social media
Yeah,
situation.
exactly, right? Greg
Right.
DeGesu has his on as well.
There we go. People are like, where did you get that? What is that? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, Kishori Gopi, I was with your husband at Govardhan Hill, and he just arrived back home.
I know. He got back
Or
yesterday.
I should say fiance. Fiance's just got back home, right? Or
Yes.
you're maybe you got legal. Did you get legally married and then you're doing
Well,
the thing? I
well.
mean, I might dig into personal stuff here. I just remember
We
that
can call him my husband. We
I'm
can
going to be
call him my
attending your
husband.
Vedic wedding, when I get back.
Yes, you are. You're going to be a big part of that. We're hoping that you're going
Okay.
to really support with the
Oh,
yajna and as a
I'm totally
priest. So
down.
more to
I'm gonna
talk
dress all
about that.
fancy. I can dress all fancy if you want.
Yeah, please. I'd love to see Kaustubha dressed fancy.
All right.
But yeah, we can call him my husband. He's back.
Okay.
He had such a wonderful time, and transcendental time, and getting to see you for breakfast so many mornings at the ashram. And
Yeah. He
um,
seemed very at home there. He was staying at the what we sometimes call the Iskon Palace, which was a simple palace uh,
mhm.
f- for the king from some place nearby that he would go to Govardhan just to spend his time, spend his weekends, or I don't know, get away
Yeah.
and just meditate there. So it's you could call it a palace, kind of like a little fort.
Mhm.
Um, but but it's a modest palace. But we call it the Bhaktivedanta Ashram, actually, right? It's really an ashram. But he seemed very at home there,
He
just
is.
reading Srimad Bhagavatam with the devotees for hours and hours every day.
Mhm. And he spent, I think he went like 7 or 8 years in a row when he was a brahmachari with Vaisheshika Das Prabhu. So then that was the first time he's been since leaving the brahmachari ashram. So
Okay.
it was certainly a homecoming. And he said, my consciousness, I feel changed from being in front of, Shastra and for that many hours, that many days chanting. So, consistently and uninterrupted and Govardhan Prikram. It really works, Kaustubha.
Don't
I'm
you
like,
drag him down now, okay?
I know. Every year I will support him in going to do that. And I hope to get to go
I'm
for
just
some of
kidding.
that in the future. I know, I'm like, lift me up, Shamya Press. Don't let me drag you down.
But you know what that reminds me of. So I spent my last day in Vrindavan. That was, I guess, it was Saturday.
Oh,
But
please
I
tell us
got out
about it.
Saturday. Yeah,
Your
and
adventures have been
so
extraordinary.
well, Friday was the last day of the month of Kartik,
Yeah.
and especially people come to Vrindavan for the month of Kartik, and often they take vows and they take serious vows. So like your
Mm,
husband was part of a group that
yeah.
decided we're going to stay here and every day for about 5 hours a day
Mhm.
we're going to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And that's not even including the Srimad Bhagavatam class that they have in the morning before that.
Right.
Right? So
Correct.
so they decided this is how we choose to spend this month. We all have the faith that in this month, whatever it's a month where we very consciously decide that we want to, in a special way, in an increased way, bring our mind to bhakti, bring our mind to Krishna.
Mhm.
And that's the way that this group has decided to do it under the guidance of Vaisheshika Prabhu, who I believe has been doing that for like 20 years now or something like that in that ashram.
A lot. I don't know the exact years, but a
For
lot. Yeah.
a long time. Um, and I was kind of like the last event I attended in Braj or in Vrindavan
Mhm.
was the morning program in the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan.
Mm,
And so I arrived sometime around 6 a.m., which is what we could call the middle of the japa period. It's a time where people are just doing meditation in the temple. I sat in the courtyard. I chanted. I was so happy to be there. It's beautiful,
mm,
blissful. And then comes the rest of the morning program, which starts with they open up all the altars and they play this music, and you just see the most beautiful forms of Krishna and
mm,
Balaram and Radha Shyama Gornitai with the music playing. It's beautiful. And then there's the puja of Srila Prabhupada, right? It's like in the courtyard of this temple, everybody sings this beautiful Bengali song to Srila
mm,
Prabhupada, and then that's followed by the class on Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this, um, so in the course of that, there were three disciples of Srila, or I don't know if all three are disciples of Srila Prabhupada, but at least three very senior devotees
okay.
that were taking part predominantly. One was Vaisheshika Prabhu, who was actually doing the puja to Srila Prabhupada as the song was being sung.
Wow.
One was Bajra Prabhu, who is Vishwambar's father, Vishwambar, the famous kirtan singer for the
Hmm.
Mayapuris. He was singing the song. And after that, Satyananda Maharaj gave the class.
Oh my goddess. Heavy hitter.
Nice lineup. And
Wow.
but this is what at a certain point this caught my attention, that each one of these men have for many, many years taken very serious vows in the month of Kartik in
Mm.
Vrindavan, each in a different way.
Mm.
Vaisheshika Prabhu, as we just mentioned, he has, this standard policy where every day for the month, he, with a group of people, reads and discusses Srimad Bhagavatam for at least 5 hours a day at the foot
Yeah.
of Govardhan Hill. What a powerfully spiritually transformative uh, practice that is.
Yeah.
And beyond just our deciding we want to do this for this month, we want to dedicate this month. Our faith is that in the month of Kartik, the results that you receive from this are greatly increased. All the shastras speak of what to speak of if you do it in Vrindavan. It's also increased. So it's just like it's just a supercharge,
Mm-hmm.
hearing Bhagavatam like that. So that's the way one Vaishnava decided to do that with the group. I'm going to hear Bhagavatam at length every day. Satchidananda Swami, every Kartik, he spends more in solitude,
Yep.
chanting, just chanting, so many rounds every day, many, 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 many rounds, like a real hermit almost. And also reading and contemplating certain deeply beautiful teachings in Krishna's Leelas. But
Mm-hmm.
he's a person that travels serving intensely all year round. And he says, I'm going to take this 1 month and use it to go really deeply into my chanting so that I have something and meditating on Krishna's Leela so that I have something to share for the rest of the year. So he had more of like a recluse kind
Yeah.
of deep practice that he did for the entire month with the same kind of focus and intensity in a very different way. And Bhadra Prabhu, for so many years, he leads the Braj Mandal Prikrama, which is like a
Mm.
full month of walking barefoot all over a large part
Yeah.
of, a very large area of Braja, of the area of Krishna's pastimes. It's not an easy thing to do.
No,
It
he's
can
not.
wear you down, and but it's an incredibly spiritually life-giving practice, and he's been leading that out for I don't know, probably at least 20 years, maybe 30 or so. I mean, he's been doing that for a long, long time. And so then,
Incredible.
it's the day after everyone's completed their vows and done their deep spiritual practice, and everyone's shining, you know? It's a
Mm.
beautiful thing to see. There's a certain energy there that you could feel like, okay, everybody's completed their vows and everybody's feeling good. And different devotees do it in different ways, and they all really respect one another for what the other one is doing. But
Right.
actually what I felt was just a deep appreciation for what Srila Prabhupada has given us, that everyone
Mm.
can find their way. He inspired people to get really deep into their spiritual lives and really experience some deep transformations, deep feelings of bhakti. These devotees don't keep doing that every year if they're not getting anything. They're getting
Right.
something from it. They're really getting something from it. So it was just a
And
beautiful thing to see. I was really touched, and that was kind of the end of my.
the last
I
day.
after that I spent a little time with one dear godbrother of mine, Ladini Shakti Ji, and which was wonderful to spend some time with him. Oh, and my very last moments, I was Tara Prabhu, who I was going to go to
Yeah.
Delhi with, he was he
And
was with
Tara was also at the readings with Vaisheshika Das Prabhu, wasn't he, for the
yes,
month?
he was. You're right.
He was in
Yes.
that group as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he was flying high too. And then in Vrindavan, he's a close friend with Panchagoda Prabhu, who's the temple president. And
Okay.
Panchagoda Prabhu took him on a tour, showing him different things, projects that they're working on. So I was waiting in Prabhupada's room chanting japa.
Mm.
Some very sweet young lady. It's a very quiet room. People
Yeah,
just,
it
there's no
is.
talking in there or anything. And I'm sitting there, and it's kind of against like a fence, kind of like an inner low fence. And leaning over the fence, someone said, Kaustubha. I said, I turned around. It was like a little angel, some young lady. I don't know exactly.
Oh.
She told me her name, but I forgot it. But I hope she'll reach out. She just shared with me that she listens to the podcast every day and how much it
Mm.
means to her, and that she gave me a little gift. And that was kind of my last exit out of the Dom, and I just felt like, oh, that was just,
Wow.
and I said, if she's listening now, please write into me so I know who you are and where you're from. But I was curious. But that was just, I felt like a sweet little blessing,
So
and
special. So
then we,
special.
yeah, then we left. So, what a wonderful
So
time we had there.
were you there? I saw Satchidananda Swami dancing and raging in Krishna Balaraj temple in a kirtan. Were you there for that? Was that
Uh,
final day?
I think what you saw was the evening before, where
Okay. Oh my goddess.
he led the Damadarastika,
Yeah.
and I was lucky. I slipped because it's so jam packed, and I got on that raised platform where the
Yep.
yeah, and I was right there in the middle of it, and yeah, you could feel the 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 devotion in his heart that was just stirred up for a month in deep meditation, and his
Hmm.
absorption in the holy name and his ability to get everyone else, because I could see exactly what he was doing. Was there are thousands and thousands of pilgrims crammed in that room, and they're just pouring through, they're offering their lamps, but a lot of
Hmm.
them are talking and chattering. They don't actually really understand. Like, they
Yeah.
know they're coming in from Delhi. They know it's a good thing to come in, take darshan, offer a lamp. And so they're doing it, but they don't know. They've never been instructed in the mood,
Right.
and you know.
The
So he was,
sentiment and the essence.
yeah, yeah. It's not a
Mm.
time to be chitter chattering and taking selfies and stuff like that. And so, and when you have that many thousands of people, when they're all chitter chattering, it's like it raises quite a din, like it's. And he just took it on himself that, like, in the service of these people, and and of Krishna, I want to get everybody chanting with one voice. I want to get
Mm.
everybody riding one wave of the holy name. And at one point he just stood up and he just started, like, he did it by getting everyone to turn up the volume. And when the volume went up,
Mm.
there was nothing to do but just chant and get focused. And there's no more talking. And he got everybody into it. It was a powerful moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really
And I felt it from here in Vermont. It's like he was jumping up and down like a little cowherd
yes.
boy, and oh my God, it's his mood is something special.
It was really great. Yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
that was my last days.
Good. And
Then
you made it okay to Mayapur?
Yeah,
How was the
Tara and I
travel?
went into Delhi and spent one night in Delhi, and the next day came to Mayapur. Yeah. So I
Right.
arrived about 24 hours ago.
Wow. Well, welcome. Welcome to the next holy Dom.
Thank you. Thank you. So you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
Okay. Why don't we chant our opening shlokas? Maybe
Yeah.
we can do like we did last time. I can chant the Sanskrit, and you can you could recite the English. Does that sound good?
Perfect. Hmm.
Okay. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayanaran Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasudeva, the author.
Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki.
By regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Okay, today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is Canto 8, and the chapter is chapter 11, which is entitled King Indra Annihilates the Demons. and
Mhm.
and I think you and Raghunath last ended with text number 8.
Yeah,
But I thought, let's just revisit that if you don't mind. It's a very interesting scene going on here.
it
Yeah,
sure is. Yeah.
I'll tell you something. I've been
Tell me.
looking at this. I've been looking at this chapter. I'm experiencing this chapter differently than when I read it previously,
Mm,
years ago. When
mhm,
I would hear about, when we speak about Bali Maharaj, who is kind of the leader of the asuras here, the leader of the
mhm,
demons, the army of the demons. When I would think of him in the past, I would always think of him just like a devotee.
mhm,
Um, because we speak like there are 12 Mahajans that we speak of, 12, in a sense, great devotees, great authorities on Vedic knowledge. They know the way, they know the path. You follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. That's like, that's kind of what's taught on our path, and he's one of them. So,
mm,
as you think of when they reel off the names of the 12 Mahajans, you think of him and you just think of him in the category of devotees. Now, among that category is someone else that came from the family of the demons, which is Prahlad, who we read
mm.
about in the seventh canto. And Prahlad
Yeah.
was born into the family of demons, but Prahlad is kind of born a devotee, right?
Mm,
Right from the get-go, he's saintly, right? He comes out of the womb, and that's because Narada, when Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu,
mhm,
he 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 wanted to gain power, and his method was to perform intense austerities for a long time. So he kind of left home for a long period, and he was performing these austerities while Prahlad was in the womb.
right.
And at that time, although she was from the demon tribe,
Prahlad's mom.
Prahlad's mom,
Mhm,
Narada, who is the saintly devotee of Lord Vishnu, says, I will take care of her, right? Her husband's not
mm,
here. I'm going to see to it that she's protected and that she's, but not only that, he also was speaking Bhagavatam to her, right?
mm,
He was
mm,
also giving her spiritual teachings, knowing all along that the child in the womb would hear these teachings.
mm.
And
Power
so
of the
when,
transcendental sound vibration.
very powerful, so powerful.
Wow.
So that when it caused a confusion for a long time in the family, because when Hiranyakashipu comes back and Prahlad is just always speaking like a devotee, he's like, where's he getting? Is this from his teachers in school? Is someone infiltrating the school? No, 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 it happened while you were away. It was Narada was teaching this, although he didn't know that.
Right.
But
He couldn't get the devotee out of his son as hard as he
yeah,
tried.
yeah, that's right. It was the devotee was in him right from the womb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but Bali's not like that. Bali, we're seeing that he's on the battlefield fighting the Devas, wanting to kill Lord Indra, who in a sense is a representative of Lord Vishnu. So he's not just born in the family of the Asuras or in the dynasty of the demons. He's an active demon, right?
Right.
He's, he's
Leading
like
the charge.
he's leading the charge for them fighting this
Hmm.
battle. And to see him in that light and to see him in this chapter is kind of reframing a bit of how I understand him, but it's also helping me understand something. I think even from like the vision of Vishnu
Mm,
is and the vision of Narada. Not when we read these books, we think, okay, there's the good guys and there's the bad guys. The demigods are the good guys, and the devas are the bad guys. And in a sense, that's true because the demigods are acting on the level of goodness. They're trying to sustain an order in society, an order in the universe, which is
mm,
harmonious with the desires of Lord Vishnu.
mhm.
That's their mission. The demons aren't concerned about that at all. As a matter of fact, they just want to break free independently and have nothing to do with that. They're even a little angry and resentful about that, generally.
Right.
So in one sense, you could say there's a good guys and the bad guys. But when Narada looks at at the demons and the devas, he doesn't see good and bad. he may on the external level understand, okay, half of these guys are acting in a way that's helpful for themselves and others, and half of
Mm-hmm.
them aren't. But he doesn't, there's no hatred for the demons.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a parent may have a child or have several children, and some of them are well behaved and some of them not. Some of them may be like really upstanding citizens, and others may be like even criminals. But the parents love all the
Love them
children.
all.
Yeah. And even to the devas, they may even be like, why are you why are you being so um friendly with the demons? But to Narada, he doesn't see, oh, you're demons and you're not demons. He sees everyone connected to Lord Vishnu, and he sees them
He
all as
actually
love.
sees through divine eyes, like divine, like
Yeah,
spiritual vision, and then
yeah.
compassion.
Which exactly, which is the vision of Vishnu himself, right?
Mhm.
He loves everyone's connected to him. He's in the heart of every living being. He's waiting for every living being to turn back to him. And there's no resentment, there's no anger, there's no what to speak of hatred.
Mhm.
He's so even though Indra, he's fighting intensely and he's doing the best that he can, but he's got a heart that's going to be full of anger, towards the demons. Narada's never like that. Narada's even going to help the demons here. We'll see in this chapter, in this battle, like these are
Wow.
just things that are coming to me as we read this. But let's
And that, Kasuba, I'm
yes,
curious, like what
please.
shifted for you in seeing this now through a different lens? Is it just that which comes through reading Shastra again and again and maintaining your sadhana, or like, why or how you're
I
viewing
th- I,
Bali Maharaj in a different way?
I think it's just because we've been reading Bhagavatam together every morning for 4 years, that just by hearing it and speaking it and discussing it with Raghunath every morning and as part of the show, it's kind of taken things that I'd heard in the past, but never really deeply understood. Some things just kind of went over my head, or even if I knew it theoretically, I hadn't contemplated it deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm contemplating it. I've been contemplating these ideas for so long that, oh, I get it. I see what's happening. Narada loves them all. I think people, when they speak of Narada, sometimes they speak of him as stirring things up to get the Leela going. Like
Yeah.
sometimes he's helping the side of the demons, or telling the demons, hey, you got a problem. You better do something about this.
Like
And
instigates
maybe,
the Leela.
yeah, and in some ways that may be true,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's more to it as well. I think he cares about everyone,
Mm.
you know.
There you go. I
Yeah.
think about in at GEV a few years ago when I was doing your Light on Wisdom talk, you had your beautiful drawing on your whiteboard, and you spoke about how knowledge, right? Knowledge and then adding reflection,
Oh,
right?
duty. Yeah, like
Yeah,
this kind of ladder that's there in the Bhagavad Gita, teachings about duty, and then knowledge,
knowledge and then wisdom.
and then wisdom.
And to
And
get to
then,
wisdom, you have to have reflection, and that leads to realization. And that's what I just heard you describe
yeah, well, I hope
in your
so.
process.
I hope I'm getting some realization.
And
Uh,
then absorption and then love. So you're on
and then
track.
love.
Lead
Well,
lead the way, please.
okay, I'll try. Let's see. All right, so let's dip in.
Okay.
Let's just look at. I'm just going to read text. Why don't you read the verse? Why don't you read text 7 and 8, and
Okay.
let's see, and then let's
All right.
read the commentary to text 8. But go ahead and read 7 and 8.
Text 7. Bali Maharaj replied, all those present on this battlefield are certainly under the influence of eternal time, and according to their prescribed activities, they are destined to receive fame, victory, defeat, and death, one after another.
Mm.
Text 8. Seeing the movements of time, those who are cognizant of the real truth neither rejoice nor lament for different circumstances. Therefore, because you are jubilant due to your victory, you should be considered not very learned.
Okay, this is coming from a demon. You see, because Indra was saying, he was saying like, I'm going to take you down. I'm going to take you down, and I'm going to take all of your whole army down. You guys are doing something that's wrong. And essentially he was saying you're trying to rise to the higher levels in the universe without justifying it.
Right.
It's like you're trying to break down the barriers that are set in universal law, so that
Mm.
only people that are pious and that are harmonious and thoughtful and sensitive, they're meant to rise to these beautiful um, pleasure areas of the universe.
Heavenly planets. Hmm.
Yeah, you're trying to break your way in without
Cheating
having.
system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're trying to bum rush the gate, and I've got the power. I'm invested with the power to prevent you and send you down. And 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 so he's speaking like this, like, by my power you're going to go down.
Mm.
And then Bali responds to that, and he responds in a very interesting way, because here he is. He's not, when we think of people that read Shastra and contemplate this knowledge, generally we're thinking of like Brahmins and saintly people, people that want to follow it, like with with a sense of devotion, or at least surrender to the laws of Lord Vishnu and the heart of Lord Vishnu. And the demons are kind of opposed to that, but no, he's speaking that same knowledge. He's studied it, he's learned it, and even in the midst of an intense emotional, physical battle, he starts to speak these words of wisdom where he's saying, Indra, you're thinking you're the controller here, but you seem to be forgetting the truth that everybody on this battlefield is either going to go up or down according to their own karma. You may be a small agent in that, but that's all you are, right?
Wow.
You seem to be forgetting the truth here. I'm not forgetting it. How are you forgetting it? And therefore he's saying you're not very intelligent. It's like Bali's critiquing Indra, giving him a lesson on even-mindedness, samatvam, right?
Mm. Hmm.
Like you're sitting here riding high because you're doing good in the battle right now, and you're speaking all these prideful words, and you're
Hmm.
feeling all happy because you're winning this battle. He says you're jubilant. Therefore, because you're jubilant due to your victory, you should not be considered very learned. Look at how confused you are. You're thinking you're in control, you're all jubilant, like I'm the winner. No,
Hmm.
everything that's happening here is due to people's karma. You're just playing a tiny little role in that. You're all jubilant, thinking you're the victor. Don't you understand that these things come and go, and that a wise person does their duty and doesn't get all excited when something goes right and gets all depressed when something goes wrong? So he is actually speaking more or less Bhagavad Gita knowledge to him straight, you know.
Yeah.
But let's hear what Srila Prabhupada says in the commentary.
Okay. Purport to verse 8. Bali Maharaj knew that Indra, king of heaven, was extremely powerful, certainly more powerful than he himself. Nonetheless, Bali Maharaj challenged Indra by saying that Indra was not a very learned person. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 11, Krishna rebuked Arjuna by saying, Prabhu,
Asochan anasochastvam pragnavadamscha bhashaye gatashun agatashumscha nanusochanti panditaha.
while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Thus, as Krishna challenged Arjuna by saying that he was not a pundit or a learned person, Bali Maharaj also challenged King Indra and his associates. In this material world, everything happens under the influence of time. Consequently, for a learned person who sees how things are taking place, there is no question of being sorry or happy because of the waves of material nature. After all, since we are being carried away by these waves, what is the meaning of being jubilant or morose? One who is fully conversant with the laws of nature is never jubilant or morose because of nature's activities.
Okay, this is some interesting stuff here, right? Okay, consequently, for a learned person who sees how things are taking place, there's no question of being sorry or happy because of the waves of material nature, right? This is fundamental teachings that are straight out of the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, right? Where it's
Mhm.
like that a wise person can go through, is not getting rocked, we could say,
Mhm.
due to the external circumstances. They're not riding high and celebrating when things are going great, and they're not all depressed and morose when things aren't. they kind of they're grounded to something else, something very solid. You could say in the background, or you could say underneath, that allows them to be steady under any circumstances. And of course, like in the 48th verse of the second chapter, the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Samatvam is even-mindedness. Yoga Uchite is called yoga. When you can keep an even mind no matter what shifting externals are going on, then we call that person a yogi. They're performing yoga. So Bali's saying, Indra, look at you. Like you're high one moment, you're down the next moment. You don't really seem to understand how this world works. But please continue.
Yeah, I remember asking you, Kaustubha, this
Yeah.
the question of like, well, how do you do that and not suppress your emotions? And we were sitting at a table at GEV having lunch after one of your classes,
Okay.
and I tend to be someone who like has a lot of,
Yes.
who could be considered jubilant, if you will. And I also experience sadness and grief, right? And so how to not be swept away by either one, but still honor our emotional experience.
And there's a lot we could say about that. One thing is, and we should be careful. It's not that a wise person is necessarily like externally stoic all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also not that we're suppressing emotions or emotional experience. But even as we pass through the emotional experience, if we're not grounded to something,
Mm-hmm.
then if we are grounded to something spiritual, something that doesn't change, we can experience and in a sense experience gradually more and more as an observer of the mind rather than identifying with the mind.
We can bear witness.
We can bear witness to feelings of jubilation or feelings of moroseness, and that's fine. And the more that we begin to feel ourselves, there's some space between us and the emotion, then we're really beginning to experience what they call self-realization. So
Okay.
so actually, Prabhupada's going to quote Bhagavad Gita 2:14 here, which has to do with tolerating the externals. But in text 2:15, he says that one that can bear these emotional experiences and remain steady becomes qualified for liberation. So we can experience and not necessarily run away from or try to hide or try to block the emotional experience, but can we, even while going through it, feel anchored to spirit and observe it from the perspective of the self, observing the mind rather than observing it through our mind, right?
Right.
As
So
if the
it's
mind
like
is part of
being
us.
more detached from that experience and more attached to Krishna, to the anchor of Krishna, and then being able to witness and identify with it because it's going to change.
Yeah, exactly. And I think as we continue reading, I think Prabhupada may share something that'll be helpful too.
Okay. Continuing on in the purport of verse 8. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2:14, Krishna advises that one be tolerant. Tams titikvasya bharata.
Tams titikshasva bharata.
Bharata. Following this advice of Krishna's, one should not be morose or unhappy because of circumstantial changes. This is the symptom of a devotee. A devotee carries out his duty in Krishna consciousness and is never unhappy in awkward circumstances. He has full faith that in such circumstances, Krishna protects his devotee. Therefore,
Okay,
a devotee,
that's
that's it.
let's just note this for now. He has full faith that in such circumstances, Krishna protects his devotee. Okay, let's continue, but we'll go back to that.
Therefore, a devotee never deviates from his prescribed duty of devotional service. The material qualities of jubilation and moroseness are present even in the demigods, who are very, very highly situated in the upper planetary system. Therefore, when one is undisturbed by the so-called favorable and unfavorable circumstances of this material world, he should be understood to be Brahman Bhuti, or self-realized. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 18:54, Brahma Bhutta.
Bhuta prasanatma nasochati nakangshati.
one who is transcendentally situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. When one is undisturbed by material circumstances, he should be understood to be on the transcendental stage above the reactions of the three modes of material nature.
Okay. So again, Bali, like with a dagger between his teeth and, like raised weapons, and, like he's more or less speaking Bhagavad Gita knowledge to Indra.
Wow.
Which you would think Indra, I think the next verse is going to say Indra actually kind of appreciates it. Like he's not angry hearing it because he knows it's the truth. So he can't really resent
Mm.
Bali for saying it. But it is amazing that's coming out of Bali's mouth. But the point that we noted was that Prabhupada said that he says this is the symptom of a devotee.
Mhm.
A devotee carries out their duty in Krishna consciousness, is never unhappy in awkward circumstances. He has full faith that in such circumstances, now here's the anchor, right?
Mhm.
He has full faith that in such circumstances, Krishna protects his devotee. Well, does he always? Like, I mean, don't sometimes devotees go down? Don't they? Are they? How are they protected? What does it mean that they're protected? I was thinking about this. What does it
Mm.
mean that they're protected? Are they always protected, or are they? The way that I thought about it, and this may just be one way to understand it,
Okay.
but we're kind of like living into a devotee, a thoughtful spiritualist is kind of always living with a foot in two worlds. Like
Mhm.
in one sense, we're operating in this world, in a world where we have relationships and responsibilities, and so much is going on,
Bills.
bills to pay, and things to take care of. For Indra, he's got to fight to maintain order in the universe.
He's a big
Bali,
service.
he's kind of he's got social responsibilities. People are depending on him on the other side, and he feels a sense of responsibility to carry that out. He's got to fight the battle. But whatever is happening, even if you're losing the battle, right? How are you protected? How is someone who's Krishna conscious, how are they protected? And it's that they know that their constitutional well-being,
Mm.
in other words, the other platform, everything on the material world may collapse for me, but I know that constitutionally my well-being is constant and it's eternal and it's always preserved by none other than Sri Krishna himself. Even if I lose a battle, even if I'm annihilated on the external plane, in reality, I'm always protected.
Right.
And
Like
so,
spiritually, we're held and
I'm sorry?
protected. Like spiritually, we're held and protected.
That Sri Krishna personally maintains every living being.
Mm.
And they're always maintained on that um, foundational spiritual level.
Mhm.
On the functional level, we may collapse, we may get annihilated, we may get killed, but the devotee knows that even if that happens, it means nothing ultimately, because I know that Krishna is preserving my well-being on the spiritual level. And that's something that never ends. And
Mm.
the deeper one has faith in that, the more that they can pass through this world so gracefully, even under the most difficult conditions. Like, sometimes like you go to see a film and you're sitting safely in the movie theater and you get carried away by the film. You may even get emotional in the film, but deep down you know that you're
I always
safe.
do.
You always do. Yeah. But deep down you know that you're safe,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And so it's something like that imagine if we have the depth of spiritual understanding
Mhm.
and spiritual faith, that as we pass through this world, we do see it somewhat like a movie.
Mhm.
Maybe a movie that we're playing a role in, right? But a movie still. And that no matter what happens in this, and it may be our responsibility on the functional level, on the relative level, to play a role in what's happening, to try to influence it in a particular way.
Yeah.
But we always know that I'm sitting comfortably in a movie theater seat, that is ultimately unaffected by whatever goes on the screen.
Mm.
So
Chai.
yeah,
So
I
to get to that point where you can actually remember that and think of that, right? It's through watering that, the Bhakti creeper. It's through our sadhana. It's through having those,
yes,
a month of Kartik where you're going deeper into your practice, things like that. Because if, as I hear you speak, Kaustubha, I'm like, yeah, if I could remember that I am spiritually protected no matter what, right? Essentially, um, then I wouldn't be so bothered by feel jubilant and morose, right? So the
yes. Or you would feel a kind of
detachment from it,
yeah,
healthy
and,
detachment.
and you might feel a sense of jubilation or moroseness on the foundational level
Mm,
in bhakti, right? In
mm,
right, like in on other paths of yoga, like in Jnana yoga, they're trying to just shoot for that even-mindedness on both platforms.
right.
Where we actually say that like the the most deeply spiritual beings, the ones who have penetrated to the deepest levels of spirituality, they're actually going through waves of jubilation and moroseness. But that moroseness is not the moroseness of of both the jubilation and the moroseness are not the emotions of the material world, which are triggered by external circumstances.
Right.
They're both triggered only by divine love.
Mm-hmm.
And because divine love is whether externally jubilant or morose, because it's the deepest absorption in
Mm,
in the very root of our existence in Sri Krishna, and because Krishna is all attractive and the very and Rama, the very source of all bliss, that even the moroseness is bliss, which is something
So it's
subtle and
spiritual emotion, like the gopis in that intense longing and separation, that deep moroseness, and then being reunited in that jubilance, like
it's
that.
they say that bhakti flows in the between the two banks of union with Krishna and separation from Krishna. Be-
Wow.
between,
Ah,
between the two banks, bhakti flows between those two banks.
there
That
it is.
this is something that's it's not it's not even externally, it's not understood by a crude mind. It takes a mind that's open
Mm,
to the subtleties of this beautiful um, uh, state of consciousness to be able to
right.
appreciate what this. But even but on the spiritual level, it's this idea of what the residents of Vrindavan are going through in their hearts in the mood of separation called Vipralamba. It's called
Mm,
the mystery of the depth of that spiritual bliss that fascinates uh, the great saints. They
mm,
meditate on it, they pray on it, they read about it, they discuss it, because they know this is this is that deep deepest level of spirituality, and we see that Krishna plunges his devotees into it. He does it as Krishna with the residents of Vrindavan and the gopis.
mm-hmm,
He
mm-hmm.
does it with Ram to Lord Sita. Everyone reads
Yeah.
Ramayana and they're like, "What's going on at the end? Why is he
Ah,
like after fighting
heartbreaking.
after fighting so hard to win Sita back, and then he leaves her? How
Yeah.
could he do that? He's not leaving. He's just he's he's entering deeper and deeper and deeper into her mind and heart through separation.
Mm. Right. It's like
And
giving, as I hear you talk, Kaustubha, it's like we're given opportunities to fall more in love with God
yeah,
through
in a way
this.
that's a very mature, subtle blend of emotion that is not going to be simple for us to understand. Sri
Right.
Chaitanya does it to his wife Vishnupriya. He
Mm,
and his mother. He walks away. You know, he plunges
mm,
them in separation. I was talking with Krishna Murari Goswami about that because we're talking about some
mhm,
of the poetry from these great Braja poets, these great poets from Vrindavan. And one quote was that when I'm united with Krishna, I see Krishna in one place.
Mm,
But when I'm been separated from Krishna, in the state of separation, I see Krishna everywhere.
mm,
Right. So it's great philosophers, theologians, poets, dramatists in the Bhakti tradition have written about and sung about and spoken about and contemplated about this feeling. And it's something very, very, very special that we can't just, we have to, it will never be revealed to us unless we approach it with great respect and unless we hear it from those who have some depth of understanding in it.
mm. Jai.
And that's what Vrindavan is about, going there and trying to feel that, understand it. It's part of a deep part of what it's all about.
Mm.
All right.
Thank you for sharing that mood with us today.
Thank you.
Prabhu.
I don't have it. But I do have a bit of reverence for it. You know,
Yes, you
I
do.
want to understand it. Thank you, Kishore Gopi.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Linda, do we have any takeaways for today?
I do have some takeaways. I'm having a bit of a Monday, so hopefully I've captured them correctly, but we'll see.
Okay.
They'll be wonderful in that.
Okay. Everyone can find their own personal way to deepen their bhakti.
Right. We talked about 3
Mhm.
different ways, right?
That's right. Hearing Bhagavatam every day makes the difference in progressing from knowledge to realizations.
Okay.
Mm.
Stay anchored to spirit so you can observe things of your mind rather than experience things through the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You're coming up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
My well-being is always protected by Sri Krishna spiritually, even under the most difficult conditions materially.
Okay.
Mm.
Even the moroseness is bliss in bhakti.
Oh, yeah.
That was
sounds-
almost a t-shirt right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know. The rest of them were pretty long, but that one comes close. And
Yeah.
keep an even mind, and you can call yourself a yogi.
There you go.
Ooh. Horrible.
Thank you so much, Kishore Gopi, for being our guest host today.
Thank you for having me, Prabhu. It's always
I
such
think
a
you're
pleasure.
back tomorrow. Too. Is
I
your
am.
weekend-
You
Awesome.
can't get rid of me. What do you?
Okay. And Linda, thanks to you for holding down the fort.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you for everybody that's been listening. Sweet angelic person who thanked me in Prabhupada's room, please reach out and let me know who you were again. I was so grateful. I was kind of like in this weird emotional state where like I was leaving Vrindavan, but I was in Prabhupada's room, so I was feeling like something very special. It was a blend of
Morose and
tiredness.
jubilance, perhaps?
Yeah, and tiredness as well, maybe blended in there, but it was kind of aiding the tiredness was somehow aiding the
Yeah.
rest of the feeling. And then this very sweet face, came from over my shoulder and said such sweet words, kind words, and gave me such a nice special gift. It was Tulsi leaves. I don't know where they were from, but I immediately handed one to my friend Ladini Shakti and ate them on the spot, and I felt wonderful, and I was just so happy. So please do.
Krishna's mercy. Well, have a wonderful first full day, or actually, no, it's the evening for you now, right?
It's
In-
evening,
in
so
my
I
court.
just spent I've had a wonderful first full day.
You have.
Yeah, very nice.
Oh, I
It's such a
dream
joy
of
to
the.
walk into my aquarium.
It's amazing. The deities there are next level. So I dream. I actually envision Tara standing in front of the deities, and like sometimes I would just watch Tara watch the deities, and
Yeah.
have the same impact on my heart.
He's praised for long periods of time. If he's gonna say, okay, let me just take darshan now, it's like you may as well
I'll
break
see you
out your
back at
bead
the
bag
house.
and yes, like, it's gonna be a while. I admire that. He's got something to say. He's sharing his heart, he's talking to God. We all gotta
Yeah,
do
he
that
is.
every day. We gotta talk to God in the heart, talk to God on the altar, talk to God every day.
Every day. And the Panchatattva are just, they're giants. They're just incredible. Oh, Nishringade. Oh, is he in the new wing? Have you gone into the
He's
new?
not there.
Okay.
He's He's still in his temple, but
Okay.
that ring is waiting for him to sometime before too long.
Guy. Well, can't wait to hear your adventures tomorrow.
See what happens. All in the hands of Lord Garanga.
Are you back into your rhythm of bathing in the Ganga or every day?
My most important rhythm is when you get this book done.
Writing.
That comes before everything. Okay, so
Okay.
I'm trying to like really. I'm trying to create my daily schedule and stick to it now. I think it may be writing very early in the morning, some chanting early in the morning. Then there's other responsibilities that I have with what's Wisdom of the Sages that are maybe in the late morning. Then maybe real late morning, bathe in the Ganga, or maybe like about noon. Lunch at 1. Then maybe a little rest between after lunch. Maybe a little follow-up communications and things like that. And then by about 3:30, I can prepare for the show and finish my rounds. 5:30 show, then post-production of the show, and then read Bhagavatam Rita with guitar, and something like that.
That sounds like a very great schedule, setting you up for success.
As long as the book stuff is getting done.
And that's starting first thing, so that you don't, neglect it. All right, we'll hold you to it. I'm your accountability buddy.
We'll check in tomorrow.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Gopi. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everybody. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic flow.